Let's open up this pit.
Hey!
Hey, my name is Adam Zuniga. I am the curator and host of Knotfest Beer Pit Live. Today we are talking and tasting with Sideward Brewing. We have Austin, the taproom and kitchen manager co-founder. We have Garrett in the center there, head brewer and co-founder, and Mandy on his side, director of operations and co-founder. This is truly a family business and a family affair, and we are so grateful to have you here. Hail Sideward. Thank you for joining. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome, welcome. I've got to give an apology to our followers out there in Twitch land. I know we were delayed tonight on account of technical difficulties. We were supposed to have the band Intoxicated here on camera with us to talk through their music, to talk through Sideward's beer. But rest assured, they are here in spirit, and even better, they are here in the twat, in the chat. So if you have any questions for Intoxicated, please, by all means, address them to the chat, and Mike Bird God, who's out there with the rest of the band, will answer. But for now, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about the brewery. I want to talk about the beer and brewing. We're going to bring some subscribers in just a moment. We have returning champions Eric Masunas and now Brian Wingett, unofficial hosts of Knotfest Beer Pit Live and the Six Most Metal Breweries. That's behind me here, my other show and my other alter ego. So for now, before we crack open Gunner Light Lager, tell us, how did you get into craft beer and brewing? When was Sideward founded?
Garrett.
It's honestly a pretty cliche story. Mandy here brought a homebrew kit for me many, many moons ago. And it just didn't stop from there. And we've, all three of us have worked in different facets of the business in general. Mandy and I have worked for several different breweries, Austin, quite a few different bars. And it snowballed, and we said we were tired of working for other people. So the brewery was established March of 2019. So we were a year old before all this happened. And we've survived it, so we'll be better for it.
Oh, well, I'll say kind of happy anniversary in the thick of COVID and Corona there. And we are glad you survived, because your beer is world class. And I really want to get to the bottom of this, because, you know, you sent me, I mean, let's go back a little further. I was introduced to Sideward by Intoxicated. So shout out to you, Intoxicated. And this has been kind of a meeting in the making and history in the making, because I asked them, if the Six Most Metal Breweries ever wants to come to Florida, who should we visit? Who should we drink? You were top of their list. They helped connect me with you. And after I saw the music video for Gunner, I was like, we have to get this beer in the pit. Yeah. So I'm glad to know your roots are in home brewing. You're right that, like, yeah, it can be a shared story or a common story, but the fact of the matter is there's nothing more gratifying for people to see and hear. You know, you start off maybe as an amateur, you start off as a hobby, you start playing guitar in the garage, but then you become a rock star. Then you go pro. That never gets old. I never get tired of hearing that.
I never got to be a rock star. That never panned out for me, but at least I got to open up a brewery.
Hard in my book, my friend. So we are glad you are here and now. I'm going to talk to everyone out here in Twitch land for just a moment. It looks like, hey, K Klauf, we miss you too. We are happy to be back. 97 Maza, what's up? And I'm glad I made you LMAOOOO. Chake, we decided that it was pronounced Chake, like European, with an accent last week. I don't know if that's right, but we're rolling with it. And patient 666158, we always welcome the 666 here. So welcome to the Knotfest Beer Pit. Again, I'm going to do my best to watch the questions in the chat. I'm going to bring in our subscribers in a moment. But let's get to the beer so I can crack one open, because I'm guessing it's as hot in LA as it is in Florida right now. And man, I need a beer. What is the story behind Gunner?
Man, it's really short and sweet, but we love drinking really crispy beers at the end of the day, something that's low alcohol. It's really, honestly, our answer to Miller High Life. We love that beer, but, you know, why buy it when you can brew it? So we brewed something extremely light, extremely just American light lager. It is crisp, it's refreshing, but it's a beer made for shotgunning. It's a beer made to drink as fast as possible.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about shotgunning and your approach for that matter. I would love to know what your first shotgun beer was, and I'd love to hear this from each of you. And maybe how your style and strategy has evolved, because I'll tell you my first shotgun story as well, but let's hear it from you.
Man, I will tell you, I'm a novice. I am not very
He's
good at chugging.
He's not good at it.
I'm good at brewing the beer. I am not good at chugging it. But
we used to, it was just like a dumb, like, I don't know, tradition that we had on Super Bowl Sunday. We would just shotgun a beer. He wasn't very good at it, but like,
and we're not very big fans of football. But
yeah, and we don't care about football, but it was just like, it was a tradition that we did, and it was dumb, and it could be Busch Light, you know, but like we just did it. It was just a thing that we've carried on with us. So once we opened a brewery, we just figured we had to continue that trend. Like we had to. It was something that we did. So bring it to the people. So
bring it to the people. I mean, these are the traditions that matter and make us. I mean, yeah. I'll say the same. Like, again, I'm not a big football fan. I'm not a big shotgunner, like chugging beer kind of guy. I can't wait to bring our subscribers in because I know at least one of them can chug with the best of them. But here's the deal. Like, I mean, so Mike Bird got out there, wants to know, ask Sideward who can shotgun the fastest. What's your answer to that question?
Mandy.
Champion. Let's start with you, Mandy. What was the first beer you ever shotgunned?
Oh, I don't even know that I could tell you that. I mean, it had to have been
the cheapest beer possible.
Yeah.
Well, it had to have been when I went to college was the first time I ever chugged a beer. So I went to FSU, and FSU's beer was Natty Light. So it had to have been Natty Light.
Well, there.
Every beer that we drank at FSU was Natty Light, so it had to have been Natty Light.
Okay. Hey there. What about for you, Garrett, and for you, Austin? First beer you ever shotgunned, chugged for that matter, whether you have a distinct memory or not, like what would it have likely been?
I always feel like I always went up to West Virginia to go ski. So like I feel like my first party pack, 30 pack of beer.
Suitcase.
It had to have been the beast.
It was Milwaukee Best.
Yes.
That's what I remember.
That's old.
Time away from the parents, just chugging beer was Milwaukee's Best, probably.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And what about for you, Garrett?
Still, I'm going to go lowest common denominator as in my memory. Miller High Life has always been around, so I would assume it's Miller High Life. We still drink it to this day. We love it. So
High Life. So that was either a chugging or a shotgun beer. And your strategy from whatever those memories are, was it with a key? Was it with a knife? Tell us to this day, how do you prefer to shotgun?
You definitely have to honor, you have to have a decent enough hole. There's a reason that hole is big. You have to have a decent enough hole to be able to chug fast.
Yeah.
So that's what this was based off of.
See, I think a lot of people still don't fully understand or have a solid shotgun strategy. So that you are providing instructions here is that much more. I worked for a couple breweries in my past that will remain nameless. Once we were doing a crew drive in Texas, which is where I'm from originally. And my first shotgun beer was with them. So this takes me well into my 20s. And it was a double IPA. Not only was it a double IPA, but without the strategy and the technique, I got it. I ripped it open with some keys, ended up tearing my lip on the aluminum. So I proceeded to get really bloody and really drunk really fast.
You had been the new guy on the team then.
Yeah, exactly. And now, all I can say with confidence and certainty, you really need a good knife if you're shotgunning beer, in my opinion. You need a good knife to kind of carve that hole that you mentioned, Mandy. I mean, that's the best technique. I have to give a shout to Sam at Cosmic Eye Brewing in Lincoln, Nebraska, because for a while there during the pandemic, he was putting up how-to instructional beer videos every single day. So we are standing on the shoulders of giants here. I want to draw attention again to the chat. Mike Bird, God, We see you, my friend. First Shotguns. This is from Greg, the bass player and vocals from Intoxicated. Bush Light. Johnny, who I believe is their newest guitar player. Johnny, it was Coors. Mike Bergod, the man himself, drummer, who I believe is also, if not like a highly qualified home brewer, a professional brewer as well. Mike Shotgun, PBR to start. And Eric, it was old Milwaukee. And of course, Eric is vocals and guitar for Intoxicated. So we have some very distinct memories from the band here. If you want to volunteer your strategy, please do. And again, shoot us any questions for Sideward. And if you're out there watching on Twitch, you're live with Intoxicated in the chat. So please send any questions to them as well. Mike Bergod says, not a pro, just a garage homebrewer for the last 16 years. Well, again, that is most metal. Like, we do the Knotfest Beer Pit to talk beer with bands. We love to talk bands with breweries. And we love it most of all to see when those worlds collide. And again, it was through Intoxicated, who has definitely built, I mean, it's in their name. You know, alcohol is a part of like their music and their sound and their identity. It was they that introduced me to Sideward. And now here we are in the pit. So let's do this. I'm not going to shotgun it. And I'm going to drink the first one out of a glass just so everyone can see it, even though, I mean, even that maybe is a little bit silly for a beer that was designed specifically to shotgun.
Hey, we don't judge.
It's a beautiful beer, and I want people to see it, and then I'm going to work my way through the rest of the cans. But as we do this, can you maybe tell us about, first of all, like the label art? Like, you already drew attention to the punch it there in the background. Can you tell us about just the aroma, the appearance, the flavor, and the finish? And as you're doing that, I want to bring our subscribers in so they can drink the beer with us and then tell us what they think. So let me get them going live here. And we have them.
Hey.
Eric Masunas, Brian Wingett. So Eric, an original Knotfest Beer Pit subscriber and unofficial host at this point of Knotfest Beer Pit Live. Brian Wingett, an original from the Six Most Metal Breweries. We've been through everything together, and likewise, unofficial host of 6MMB. We have beer and metal royalty in the house tonight. So let's drink this beer together. Cheers.
Cheers.
Back to you, Garrett. Tell us what we see, what we smell, what we taste. Let's walk through this together.
Classic Granddad's beer. It is crisp. It is light. It is pale straw, clear. Man, it is just an enjoyable, crispy, refreshing beverage. It is. It's not much to think about. You just kind of enjoy it and forget about life.
Well said. Very, very well said. I mean, I don't want to overcomplicate this. Like, it is an American light lager, which is beer that is meant for drinking. And that's what we love most here in the Knotfest Beer Pit, and love to see how it can represent heavy music and bands and artists on top of that. But I have to go with what you're saying here. I mean, first of all, I always welcome a clear and filtered beer. It is handsome in the glass. Immediately, I mean,
Oh, that's pretty.
or is it? I mean, this is my new official tasting glass for Knotfest Beer Pit. It's from Tipple Glass, and it is a fundraiser for Lucky 13 Saloon here, if you can see that. But more importantly, metal is God. This is your church. This is what we're looking at. But again, the beer is handsome in the glass. I smell like there is a malt presence. There is a slight lemony citrus character from the hops that I'm guessing are only there for the balance of absolute mess. And let's see how it tastes. I need this beer so much. Thank you.
But I think a good way to put it is it's a show beer. It's, you know, it's the beer you have while you're watching the band. You know,
Yeah.
you're there to see the band, but you need a little bit of liquid encouragement to get in the pit. So that's what Gunner's for.
Yeah, liquid encouragement it is. What's the alcohol on it?
4.5.
4.5. So light, refreshing, supremely easy drinking. Hops, if they're there, it's only for a little bit of a lemon twist and balance. Like I said, a super light grain bill. What adjuncts are in the beer?
It is a corn-based beer, but it's really just Pilsner malt and corn. That makes up all of it, and I believe it is off the top of my head is Sapphire hops. So it does have a little bit of citrus pop, but yeah, just there, just for balance.
Oh my God, a perfect beer for a perfect moment. Eric, Brian, before I talk any further, I mean, there is always the power of suggestion. What do you smell? What do you taste? The beer from the mild sweetness from the corn is definitely there, but what else kind of stands out to you? What matches your palate based on everything that Garrett is saying? Let's go in this direction. Eric, since you're directly below me on the screen here, what do you think?
I love it, and I think it's perfectly described in like have it while you're at a concert. Most, especially where everybody is. I know Brian and I are both in North Carolina, and it's hot as hell here too. So,
Yeah.
An outdoor festival. This is like the beer that you would bring. It's many that you can fit in the cooler and take with you. So, absolutely, you nailed it. It's a perfect. They call it the lawnmower beers type of thing. And I love that it's in the tall boy can too, so that I get more more bang for my buck there. So definitely appreciate that. But yeah, and I as a home brewer too, how did you find with adding corn? I'm always scared to introduce that at the homebrew level. How much of a jump was that for you guys, or did you already work with it before?
So corn, I would say, is not too scary. As in, I would say that wheat or oats are scarier, in my opinion.
Okay, good.
We did just do a massive amount of corn in another beer we just did, which was a very long day. But that's another beer for another time. But no, I mean, it's really easy to work with. But I would treat it just like you would treat wheat. We do use a little bit of rice hulls in this beer as well, which is just a filter aid.
Keep it from clogging.
Nice.
Awesome. You guys nailed it.
Hell yes, they did. Real quick from the chat, Chalk A wants to know if available in California, and I think I'm probably the only one that has these cans in the state at the moment, but maybe you can confirm that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not right now. When we blow up and get big, and maybe we'll be out there sometime. But only available at the brewery in Orlando, Florida at this moment.
Well, you are most welcome here, and I think anywhere once people taste the beer. Brian, wing it. What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you think?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head here already. I mean, it's light grain bill. Like the first thing that hit me was the light corn nose to it. I mean, the heat index in North Carolina was 104 today, and being up on a scissor lift in a warehouse painting the side of a bar was pretty brutal. So this was kind of what I was looking forward to all day, was hanging out with everybody and getting into these. They've been staring at me from my fridge for days. And it's like, no, hold off, wait for it. Thursday is going to be a good night. You just got to get there. And it takes, like, when I started drinking beer, I was in my late teens. I was just going to college, and I drank a shitload of crappy macro beer. It was a lot of Bud heavy for a long time. I didn't shotgun beers for a long time. We used the beer funnel. And the first couple times, definitely like cough into it and fountain beer all over myself and everybody near me. Didn't get good at shotgunning until just a couple years ago. Would go to another bar in Brooklyn after I was done for the night, and after we kicked all the regular guests out, we'd lock the door, and we practiced by shotgun and White Claws of all things.
That sounds rough.
It was sort of just like, we're here. We made it to the end of the night. Fuck it. Let's do this together. And no one needs to know about this. So it's out there now.
I love it. You heard it here first, Twitch. Public confessions are the best kind of confessions. A couple things there. Yeah. So I have seen Mr. Brian Wingett chug beer with the best of them. So I know your shotgun skills are strong after extensive training over the years. Brian has a background in beer in New York. And obviously Eric has a home brewer in North Carolina, but I'd forgotten you all are both there now. As Eric, you continue to build your homebrew club, and Brian, I know you're getting ready to open up a new bar. So, hey, the beer and metal world are small, and I'm glad we're able to all meet and come together here tonight. The beer, again, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but like all your beers, like everything you sent me, it really is like flawless. They are to style absolute perfection. I think what stands out for me most, like drinking this, I welcome corn in beer. I welcome rice in beer as long as it's not excessive. And that's why American adjunct lagers had such a bad reputation for so long, because like that was the only flavor and the dominant flavor. And you realize the difference. Like I had your Punks in the Waiting Room, which is like a German style, German inspired Pilsner lager, correct?
Yep, correct.
So that's one of the best beers I've had this year, hands down. And you can really understand the difference. I'm assuming there adjuncts in that beer.
No, I mean, that is a very traditional style beer. That is like all malt. It is a Pilsner. So it's actually pretty hoppy for what it is. But we drink a lot of that beer at the brewery. It is definitely a brewery favorite. Cause I think it satisfies a lot of what we like. Is very light, but also has that hop little bite to it, a little bit of bitterness to kind of keep you awake and excited. And we drink a lot of that beer at the brewery.
So much metal and so much love. And Eric and Brian, I'm sorry we can't also drink this together, because it really makes you understand just the difference between an adjunct lager and an all kind of malt barley based lager. And there is obviously it's more robust. There's more depth of flavor in the malt, like 100% barley based German style Pilsner.
We do joke at the brewery that Gunner is Punk's light. So you can make that connection.
Yeah. And sometimes like light and thin, like I don't think that's ever necessarily an argument or a criticism. Like it can suit the spirit, it can suit the moment. Like you said, it's totally like for when you're about to jump in the pit, if you're going to a show, or for even where we are all right now in like hot weather. I mean, come on, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Sometimes you want to listen to black metal. Sometimes you want to listen to stoner metal. So it's all what you're in the mood for.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
If I can interject for a second. I think
please.
Sometimes like in a beer community and sort of landscape that's dominated by heavily adjuncted stouts and hazy IPAs, when you make a beer that is just straightforward, a light lager, you don't have a bunch of ingredients to hide behind. And it's a great example of demonstrating one's technical prowess and understanding how to work with a limited grain bill with classic styles of yeast. And if you knock something this out of the park, it's going to bode well for the rest of your portfolio and your business. First time I go to a new brewery, I want to try a Kolsch, I want to try a Pilsner, I want to try a lager. Give me something where there's nowhere to hide, and you'll show me who you are. And that's a lot like being in a pit.
Well said.
Yep.
Very well said. These beers, lagers, pilsners, American adjunct light lagers, they seem deceptively simple, but they are actually incredibly hard to brew, labor intensive, time consuming. But to Brian's point, you can't hide anything. Like they are clear, they are naked as they are, kind of visible and filtered in the glass. You can't hide any kind of defects or faults here. You can't throw a bunch of hops at it and cover it up, you know? So it is a mark of true mastery. It is most metal. Eric, how about you, man? How do you feel when you first go to a brewery? Do you want to know their IPA? Do you want to know their lager? What is your approach in that respect? How do you begin?
Definitely similar to Brian. You know, when I go, it's, you know, trying to find those ones that are very like just the true to style, the most simplistic one, because you know what you're going to get with all the rest of them. So when you find that one, you're like, oh, they're doing just a straight American pale ale, or, just one little thing, and you're there and you're like, oh, this is what I want. Like, you can do a lager and you're not hiding behind anything. You're sticking true to style. And I think, as a Cicerone, Adam, it's one of those things. It's like when everything falls into different categories. Sometimes breweries go crazy with all these different kinds of adjuncts and, adding all kinds of ingredients to it. Sometimes it's nice to just get back to basics and just have a beer that tastes like a beer. And I think it sets the tone for all the other beers you're going to have there. And I think it definitely sets the tone too with, falling in love with new breweries. So absolutely.
Agreed. Much agreed. Here is to beer that tastes like beer. And on that note, we've got to move over to the chat, because Popping off with Mike Birdgod from Intoxicated. First of all, 97 Mazza, returning champion of the Knotfest Twitch chat. Join knotfestbeerpit.com. Totally agree. Thank you for the plug. And Mike Birdgod wants to know. So
I
he's
just saw the Zima comment.
all right, so he's saying Johnny from Intoxicated's old favorite drink is wine coolers from the 90s. LOL. Do you guys think that Zima or wine coolers will come back like seltzers are right now? He says lots of breweries are doing fruit seltzers, hard seltzers, maybe wine coolers or Zimas will follow, or a Zima Coffee Off will follow. In all caps here, does anyone remember Zima? It's a very important question, and he wants to know if Sideward will ever brew a seltzer. So now Mike is really asking the tough questions. What do we think of all that, Sideward?
Man,
I've had Zima.
Yeah.
It made like a resurgence, right?
Yeah.
Like it did.
A few years ago.
A couple of years ago, it made a resurgence.
but people are already making the wine coolers. I believe Untitled Art, they've done some really, really good seltzer stuff. I believe they've done some wine coolers already. So yeah, it already exists. It's already out there.
I had one of them last week. I had their painkiller one.
Oh,
Yeah,
their painkiller one?
We had the painkiller one last weekend as well.
They said painkiller.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We're Sideward's putting out seltzers as well. It's the name of the game. It's the times are changing, so
Yeah.
we'll be with them. So
Mike Birdgod says, awesome. All right. I guess we've answered
You didn't say anything.
when tell Mike when he homebrews some hard seltzer, we can all come back and he can share it on the show.
Yeah. Mike, did you hear that? I'm going to assume he did. Let's do this. Two things, like right now, going back and forth between Sideward and Intoxicated on the chat. So I am curious, the music video for Gunner, set to the tune of Walled by Intoxicated, which is the title track, the name of their 2020 EP. How did that come together? Because it is some of the best beer cinematography I think I have ever seen. That music video was also a big part of like Intoxicated introducing me to your brewery. So what's the story behind the video? How did it all come together set to their music?
We've always wanted to. I think the biggest thing for Sideward is about having fun. And really have to give credit to a lot of our creative friends, the guys who did the video for us, Jeff and Anthony. They killed it. We kind of gave them an Evil Dead inspiration, and they really knocked it out of the park with that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But the world of free music to put in your videos or whatnot is very rough. And we love supporting local and homies. Mike and I have been great friends for a while. And I was just going through the new album that they had put out, and Wall just fit immensely. So it was just, we're lucky enough to have great friends who are very talented. So it all just kind of came together. Great. I guess I get, yeah.
Maybe you get,
Yeah. You're getting all choked up because it's a very emotional thing to talk about. If anyone has not seen the video, like, do yourself a favor and watch this right now. I think Intoxicated shared it again on their social media at Intoxicated_FL earlier this morning, but you can also find it on Sideward social media. It's absolutely brilliant. So I won't spoil it, but go watch it right now. And the beer and the music are a perfect pairing. And I can really relate to what you just said when we were trying to find music and songs and a soundtrack for the Six Most Metal Breweries for our pilot episode. Like the difference between, we're lucky to have talented friends, and the difference between a band I want to work with and not is the difference between someone who says like, talk to my label, talk to my people, or someone who says absolutely fuck yes, because we support this world and this community and this industry. So I'm really glad you all were able to connect and bring both Gunner and Walled like to life together. It's a perfect pairing. And likewise, and this is a question for you all out there in the chat, Intoxicated. It's just because we are drinking an American light lager. I mean, how does that kind of represent and pair with your music? And for Sideward here live on screen, how do you think, like, how how can something like Gunner represent thrash metal, death metal, Florida metal with pride? What do you see as the connection between the two?
That's what you drink at shows.
We
like that's what you drink.
Intoxicated just played with Gruesome here recently, and we went and saw
in
them.
town.
And yeah, it's just
they didn't have Gunner, but
but it was, you know, it reminds me of just drinking the
PBR or whatever tall boy light lager they have.
The band is the focus. The beer is not the focus. The beer is good and what it should be, but it's what's in your hand. You should be enjoying what's in front of you and what's around you, as in friends, bands. So yeah.
Okay, well said. We'll talk more about the connection just between craft beer and heavy music, but I mean, Gunner is perfectly suited to an Intoxicated live show, and I hope I get to witness it firsthand, drinking the beer at the same time. We have another member, I'm assuming, joining or either impersonating Intoxicated. They are Intoxicated 101. Their answer to this is both are delicious. Delicious guitar solos, delicious fills. I'm going to guess, you can probably guess from those answers what member of the band it might be. But I have to agree, both are absolutely fucking delicious in most metal. And I think absolutely a light lager like this can stand up to heavy music like theirs. So I'm going to open up another can, but Intoxicated 101 says Imperial Stout and heavier craft beers don't seem to go with thrash metal. And so it sounds like there's another thought coming here. But I'm going to give it to them. Like, I mean, their music makes me happy. And I don't know if it's like metal to say that, but their music is a good time. You know, it's not only like a release, you know, it is an intoxication, but they can still smile and have fun and look fucking cool doing it. And to me, like, that is what the best of like thrash represents. There's only a few bands that can pull that off. There's no one like Intoxicated that I think also has like the death element from Florida. But Municipal Waste can sure as shit play thrash and have fun and a good time doing it. And I think Intoxicated is a part of that genre. So they say light lagers are good for circle pits, and I think we've all the same here in one way or another. Okay. Before we move on and just talk a little bit more about music, I really enjoy geeking out and nerding out. I love talking about like the corn in the beer. Eric and Brian, do you have any more questions for Sideward before we move on?
Put me on the spot there.
You're on the spot, Brian.
What was the first beer that y'all brewed for the brewery for Sideward?
Okay. For the breweries, it needs a question.
It's a beer called Too Many Teeth. We release it every so often, but to Eric's point, it is a straightforward pale ale, citra hop pale ale.
Very cool.
We are fortunate enough that people are very big fans of that beer, so we keep bringing it back. Something we love, but it's very citrus, good drinking pale ale.
Yeah, balanced. Yeah.
How many times did you homebrew that?
Man, I haven't homebrewed in a little while. But I will tell you
that came from years of recipe development.
I will tell you.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, you know, like you just keep doing it and keep doing it to, you know, perfect.
I tell a lot of people I was not a very good home brewer. It took a long time before I got to this point, but you know, I had a very good mentor, so we're here now.
Was it hard to scale up? I always hear that from people, like they have these recipes that they've developed and perfected and really like the way they came out, but then when they scale up to a larger system.
Yes and no.
You had a starter brewery.
Yeah, I've worked at a few other breweries, but I will be humble and say I have a music production degree, and so I think that I guess let me. Well, I kind of got lost there. I'm a firm believer in things happen for a reason. I have a music production degree that taught me line flow, process, all these things that didn't think that was going to translate into beer, but has. So I think that scaling up is not necessarily like it's the same process between 5 gallons, between 15 barrels. It's just a matter of like, you know, paying attention what tastes good and what not. So I think scaling up is it's not that difficult.
Very cool.
Look at that, Eric.
What size system do you have now?
What size?
Yeah.
15 barrel. So we do produce
nice.
a little bit of beer.
Nice.
Nothing crazy.
Just enough to keep you occupied.
Yeah.
Eric, we are all waiting for you to scale up and open your own brewery at this point, and I know it's coming. So,
oh yeah, we'll see.
So let's see. From Intoxicated 10101, we got a thank you. And Pete's is an awesome beer. Chuck A out there says sounds good. So I'm assuming we're trending in the right direction and on the right track here. And Intoxicated said again, homebrewers also get like 65 to 75% efficiency. Pro breweries like Sideward get higher efficiency, right? I'm assuming there's a question mark at the end of that. So yeah, totally.
Yeah. The bigger you get, the better you get.
Okay. And I want to capture what you just said about, you said you had a background or a degree in music. What was it? Music production?
Music production. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, and also please, Mandy and Austin, speak to this, but what is the connection for you personally between craft beer and heavy music, between beer and metal? What does that mean to you?
To me, it's always been grassroots. It's always been punk rock. You get out there, it's DIY, you do it yourself.
But I think what we decided with Sideward, we were just trying to do a brewery that like emulated what we were about. So it was like, we care a lot about beer, but we also we care a lot about music. So,
but I mean, like when we were homebrewing, 5 gallons of beer to drink between Mandy and I was it was a lot. So I would end up
feeling.
I would end up taking it to shows and bringing it to shows and just sharing it.
Like getting into craft beer for me was, it was bottle sharing before I knew what bottle sharing really is now. Like it was experience, like Boston Lager was like my first step out of
macro.
Yeah. So it's just like
for a lot of people,
actually going to parties and everyone just bringing different beer, and that's kind of how my craft beer knowledge expanded. It was just we were all basically bottle sharing before we knew it.
Well, yeah, I mean it's always been punk rock. It's us versus the man. And it's always been that way. So yeah, it's always just been very, very punk rock for me.
It's important you say that punk rock, DIY at its roots. Maybe that is why kind of the theme of punk and a skeleton at its core. I know graces a lot of your labels. It's kind of like your mascot reoccurring throughout the years. That makes a lot of sense. And to say that, you're also passionate about music, and the way people share beer is the way they kind of share bands around, I mean, it all comes full circle. Intoxicated out there says both start in garages. I mean, we've all coming from
perfect.
Said that. It couldn't be more true. Homebrewing and starting bands. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand. But if you're not doing both at the same time, I think it's a very similar process, So that is most metal. For you, Brian Wing It, for you, Eric Masunas, I mean, anything else as we just kind of continue delving into the connection between the two that you see more and more?
What is the worst beer to get spilled on you at a show?
Damn it.
Double IPA, Imperial Stout, Hazy IPA, or better yet, Smoothie Sour. These days, Smoothie Sour.
Yeah.
It's like a Gatorade bath.
You're I guess your feet are going to get stuck to the floor at that point.
Yeah, totally. But no, I really appreciate all the comparisons between starting off as an amateur, as a hobbyist, and going pro, starting off in the garage and opening your own brewery. That is fucking metal, and it is a story worth telling. if punk is kind of the emphasis for you all, like what gets you through your day? Can you tell us what is playing in the brew house? What do you listen to power through?
I got to give a shout out to some good friends of Intoxicated and us. Human, they just released a demo. They're local to us, but the demo is I don't know what the genre they call it, but it's brutal, but it's great. They really, really it's so good.
Nice.
But also the new Death Chant has been on rotation very, very hard in the new brewery. Just good California, just riffy metal. Yeah.
It's like, don't look at me because I sit in the office
Mandy,
and I'm punching numbers and I'm listening to like murder podcasts and stuff like that. But I hear that with the background too. So
yeah, no, I think
I love country, but if it's a quiet day, if there's no music playing in the brewery, it's a weird day.
Yeah,
it's very weird to walk in when there's no music playing.
Agreed. It seems unnatural. It's an environment that just kind of lends itself to music. And it's good to kind of see and hear how you all work as a power trio to keep the brewery running in your own way. Seriously. I think Chalke out there is giving us some fire signs and some horn symbols. So right back at you, Chalke. Intoxicated says Heineken or Guinness is the worst beers to have spilled on you. I guess it tells us what Intoxicated thinks about Heineken and Guinness. Brian, you had some Guinness spilled all over you getting crowd killed in Long Island.
Yeah, I was seeing leftover crack. Yeah. Leftover crack, and somebody just collided at me full force, and I had a fresh Guinness that just went all over everything I was wearing.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun one.
No. Yeah. I got him on the next lap around, though. It worked.
Yeah. Justice. Intoxicated says Human is awesome, and I'm definitely going to check them out after this Beer Pit live. And they follow up with Heineken smells like piss. But he's saying now when it spills on you. So is like it okay otherwise? I think it's an interesting conversation. You know, whether we're talking about like Heineken or just going back to the discussion around like kind of light adjunct lagers, how they can be paired or represent metal. You know, I think and I believe and I hope like more metalheads out there know that these kind of beers like Gunner are available from craft breweries. Because it doesn't, even after, like you gave a shout to Miller High Life, sure, but it doesn't always have to be Miller High Life. It doesn't always have to be like Bud Light because you saw early pictures of Metallica drinking it. Like there are alternatives, there are options from people who share the same preference and passion in music as you, brewing higher quality beers that hit all the same marks. So I hope people are listening to that. And I believe they do. I believe there's a whole untapped metal demographic out there for craft beer that is still growing.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Right?
I mean, because of the Knotfest Beer Pit box, there's a woman in Panama who posted about Gunner.
Yeah.
She got this box and she's also into metal and she got the box. She's a brewery owner. Like it was so rad, but I had no connection to this woman otherwise. And she posted about it. I was just awe inspired. It was very cool.
Isn't that so fucking metal? Like we try to make sure like all the beer is shipped as quickly and as cold as possible because we want it to represent the brewery's best. And I know at Fule Casa, that's who posted the video. I know her from New York City Beer Week and from GABF, and that we were able to share this with her. And she got her first taste of Gunner and said, yeah, so now this is a lager. Like, yeah, she knows you and we know you. The beer is fucking awesome. It's great being able to share it on that level.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the future. This all kind of brings us to present day. We know about Gunner, Punks in the Waiting Room. You don't seem to discriminate among your portfolio. You brew a little bit of everything, but what else is on deck? What else is coming up for Sideward in the not too distant future?
Always putting out new stuff. I think we're very excited about this. Wayfinder started this new style called Cold IPA. So we're very excited to put out our iteration of that. It's Devo inspired, not too metal, but we all love. Don't listen to metal all the time, so we love Devo.
Devo is metal in its own right.
Exactly. That's my point.
So we're very excited about that. We're always, like I said, we're always putting out new and fun, exciting stuff.
Did you wear the hats when you brewed it?
We should have. Well, that was probably this past year we talked about just being Devo for Halloween, but
COVID messes up a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, come down and see us if you're traveling, going to Disney World. We're not too far, so please come and see us. Say hi.
Yeah, hell yeah! And outside of the beer pit, so your beer is not available anywhere outside of Florida. Is that correct?
Outside of really Orlando. I mean, there's if you come to Tampa, visit Jug and Bottle. They might have some of our stuff. But really, you got to come to Orlando. There's a few friends bars that have it, but yeah, we are in Orlando.
Nice. I know Intoxicated is based there as well.
Yep.
Before we even begin to wrap this up, Intoxicated, if you're listening, send us anything more in the chat that you want to talk about. What you're drinking at home. I know you all released a new single semi-recently, so let us know what music is coming up. Let us know if you will be touring. Is there space for them to perform at Sideward, since none of us have ever been to the tap room yet, because that could be most metal?
Can't confirm it yet, but we do it through an event called Sideward Sabbath, Austin's t-shirt, that we do once a year. They were supposed to play last year. Due to COVID, we had to cancel it, but hopefully looking to gear it up again for this year in January. But yeah, beers, barbecue, and metal. So that's what we do on that day, Cyber Sabbath. So come on by. January.
End of the month.
It's towards the end of the month in January. So. Sideward Sabbath. Sideward Sabbath Volume 3. Look for it.
Sideward Sabbath sounds like something to believe in for me. I love it. Intoxicated out there says we just finished recording our full length on Seeing Red Records, coming out early next year. Shout out to Seeing Red Records. That's excellent. We have more metal to look forward to from Intoxicated. Tell us what shows are coming up out there, Intoxicated. I know you've been playing selectively around Florida. We're all in this kind of weird position because it's like it is proceed with caution. Tap rooms are reopening, venues are reopening. Have you seen an increase sideward just in terms of people getting out, wanting to reconnect with their local brewery, wanting to throw the doors open and drink beers in person again?
Yeah, we just came through. Sheer Mag's coming through. Youch is coming through. So things are getting back to normal. Awesome. Wear your mask. I'll put on my soapbox. Wear your mask. Get your vaccine so we can all go back to shows.
I think, isn't that the best way to say it? Get your vaccine, wear your mask so we can get back in the pit. There's a happy end of this. Like that's the end of there. They're doing Sunday, August 22nd at Will's Pub with High Reaper and Freedom's Hawk.
Yeah, that's coming up this weekend.
Well, look at that. And it sounds like it's a doom stoner metal thrash show. From Brian Wingett here, High Reaper and Freedom's Hawk are playing 30 minutes from...
I skipped that show to be on this.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, that's great. We have November 13th, The Haven in Orlando. I mean, to me, this is all, again, a really positive message. It's that breweries are coming back, tap rooms are coming back, shows are coming back. If we handle it responsibly, we can all have it back. November 13th, The Haven is it's in Orlando with Massacre. Fucking metal. Okay. Before we wrap up, I'll give you a chance in the chat, Sideward, and Intoxicated and Sideward, if you can just tell us if there's anything else you want to say to Knotfest Beer Pit fans and subscribers out there.
Drink more beer, stay metal.
Woo!
Drink beer, stay metal. That sums it all up. Hell yeah. And for you, Intoxicated, what is the message out there for everyone in Twitch land? It looks like they are also December 16th with DRI at the Brass Mug in Tampa. So clearly there is a whole scene in Florida that we all need to get to know that much better. Yeah.
We're from the land of death, so you know, we got.
Don't forget about us.
No, you are the land of death. Really, it is kind of like Florida and upstate New York are the death metal strongholds in the United States. So keep on representing. Intoxicated, let us know if there's anything else you want to say before you go on the chat. Eric and Brian, I am always so grateful to have you here to keep the beer pit going. Thank you very much for joining. Apologies for the technical difficulties at the start. Sorry that Intoxicated is not on camera here because they are definitely a group that you want to hang out with and see live in person. But we did our best with them in the chat. And I'll say again, Sideward, I think your beer is flawless. It is quality. It is world class. That is what metal represents to me. So I'm going to finish this and then move on.
Thank you.
And they apologize for the technical difficulties. Chalk Hay out there says Intoxicated is new to me. I'll dive in later. That is most metal. So let's do this. I'm going to give a shout to everyone out there that makes the beer pit possible. Our producers, Chris and Matt, our graphic designer, Audrey, the woman behind the scenes who makes all of this truly possible, Agnes, our distribution and retail partner. Talking about what you said earlier, Garrett, like craft beer, even though it seems like it is growing, it is still so small in the greater scheme of things. There are so many rules and regulations around retail and distribution. Playing that game and beating that system is a lot of work, and that is what the beer pit is all about. So shout out to Agnes. If you get a chance, check out knotfestbeerpit.com. Join the club to keep this going. And Knotfest Iowa is coming. Knotfest LA is coming. I feel like Chile and Brazil and all these other shows keep getting announced. And to Sideward's most metal message, if you get vaccinated, if you wear a mask, you will also be able to get back in the pit. And let's just get back to life, people. So thank you very much. I'm going to say until next time, I will see you in the pit. Intoxicated, we accept your apology for the technical difficulty. Your message of sick.
Thank you.
Come see us in Orlando. Don't believe what you heard. We got it here. We got Intoxicated. We got Sideward. Come and see us.
All right. Here's to a future episode of the Knotfest Beer Pit and the Six Most Metal Breweries based right there in Orlando, Florida, with you, Sideward, and with you, Intoxicated. Keep it metal. I will see you in the pit. Until next time. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Hails.
Good.